Matt Damon's more than a 90s heartthrob, an Oscar-winning actor. He's an absolute beast in front of the camera, especially when it comes to movies that are going to make you cry, all while flaunting one of those gorgeous faces you've seen. Seriously, what's not to love? He's got some impressive range too, and in this video we'll discuss his best dramatic performances to date, so let's jump on in. First up, we have The Rainmaker. This one isn't very well known, but it definitely should be. For all of the bookworms out there, this one is an adaptation of John Grisham's novel of the same name. Damon plays the main character, Rudy Baylor, a young and idealistic lawyer, full of life. He wants to take on the world and do right. Good start, right? Well, the problem is that he's working for an ambulance chaser. That's where these qualities don't even matter. So he wants to break free and find a case he actually resonates with. If there's one thing Matt can do, that plays the heck out of starry-eyed boy role. He's a pro at it in this movie. Then Baylor finally steps into a huge case against some more experienced lawyers who, wait for it, represent an evil and corrupt insurance company. Yeah, tough to win that. This was one of Damon's first leading roles, but the movie's success rate wasn't very high. It should have been since the Sofia Coppola was directing. And stars like Danny DeVito and Jon Voight were also in the cast, but it did prove that he could easily keep up with actors of that caliber. Up next, there's Margaret. You'd expect big shots to always opt for major roles, sometimes starring ones on the side. Well, Matt likes to keep his playing field wide. This one's an ensemble movie, and he plays a very small part, crucial to the plot of course, but not much screen time. The fact that he delivered the drama and wasn't even in half of the movie tells you something about how good he is. Of course, Anna Paquin plays Margaret herself, the titular character, and she devoured this role as well. We have to give credit where credit is due, but we're talking about Damon here. Lisa, played by Paquin, is a 17-year-old who deals with the aftermath of a horrible bus accident. Matt plays her math teacher, a man who grew too fond of the student. He always liked to work with talented directors and actors, even if it means he gets a very tiny role. The extended director's cut has more of him in it though, and we recommend you watch that. The movie makes good use of silence and rhythm, it heightens the drama. And now, Rounders. If you're into poker movies, you've probably heard of Rounders. Many people put it up there as one of the best in the genre, and a big part of this is Damon's performance. Looks like he's got a liking for law school roles too, because this is his second one after The Rainmaker. And in this one, he's Mike McDermott, an awesome poker player who goes to law school to try to give up at life. When his friend Worm, played by Edward Norton, gets out of jail and needs to pay off his gambling debt, Mike's sucked back into this world. This movie came out just before the boom in gambling movies, so it really is a pioneer if you want to call it that. The dialogue is good, and Damon plays the smartass lead guy well. He was a little unknown in 1998, and the rest of his cast members could have easily upstaged him, but he put on a formidable performance like no other. Coming up, we have Courage Under Fire, another small role for the win. He had to change it for one mentally and physically. He's an underrated Joker moment, but he's not the bad guy here. It's a transformation many critics have praised and continue to. They have all the best reasons to. Courage Under Fire revolves around Denzel Washington playing Lieutenant Colonel Serling, having to make a tough decision whether or not a deceased helicopter pilot played by Meg Ryan deserves the Medal of Honor. That has never happened before with a woman in that position. Matt portrayed the medic, ERO, present with Ryan's character passed away. Yeah, imagine how heavy that must be. Like a champ, he carried it. You'll start crying at certain scenes. He even shed close to 40 pounds and learned what people living with PTSD thought. In addition, his persona had a heroin addiction. It's intense material, so Matt will do the job better than anyone else if you're in the mood to reflect. Following up, there's The Departed. It's not a film list if there isn't a Scorsese joint in there, right folks? Working with an iconic director like him, Damon also served in this one. It's pretty well known, and again, for all the right reasons. This movie is full of chaos and will surely put you on edge, in a good way of course. That's what a good drama should do. Matt's a mole in the police named Cole Sullivan. Scorsese won his first Oscar for directing this one. Damon and Leo DiCaprio essentially play two sides of the same coin on this one. While Leo's the showier, Matt brings out the slimy, crooked Sullivan. That balances them out, and it's crazy how well their energies bounce off each other. His playing an evil role is just a chef's kiss. Mwah. Everyone wants to see him play in more menacing roles, because you best believe Sullivan will scare your pants off in this film. Now, let's look at The Martian. The one-man show indeed. Mark Watney is a botanist who's left behind on Mars. His crew left him, he's all alone on Mars. He's alive, but he has to get by on what little he already has. This one is well known and highly rated, and Matt's performance blew everyone away when it came out. He's alone and has all the screen time in the world, so yes, the movie rode on his acting most of all. If it weren't for his charisma, it would have flopped for sure. This is Damon we're talking about here. The man is going to serve, if anything else. He captured the whole gist of humanity so well. One human being, all that is a tough task, but he stepped up. You don't just see the frightening parts of it, being stranded on a different planet, but the good parts too. He's having fun trying to solve problems, being smart and nerdy, and all the sci-fi fans love it. Keep in mind, he's also in a deadly environment. His emotional scenes are also enough to make a grown man shed a few tears. Up next, we have the talented Mr. Ripley. As much as we love to see him play the good-natured hero, he's even spicier as the villain. No other movie shows this better than the talented Mr. Ripley. It's based on a novel by Patricia Highsmith, and boy is it a wild ride. Matt plays the lead guy, a man called Tom Ripley, who goes to Europe to convince Dickie Greenleaf to come back home to America. Might we add Jude Law plays Dickie, and both have something spicy? If this isn't a sign to watch this movie, we don't know what is. Turns out Tom likes the lifestyle in Italy, and Dickie himself. Things start going a little sour, meaning that he has to kill people. It's a sensitive look into the mind of a serial killer, and Damon kills this role, no pun intended. Granted, Ripley's more sociopathic in the book, but Matt adds a layer of tragedy to him. You can see him grappling with what he's done, and it's so beautifully done. Last but not least, Good Will Hunting. Probably his most iconic role ever, this movie is an iconic part of film history. He's in the shoes of a troubled young janitor, starring with Robin Williams. This is the recipe to make you cry. Robin won an Oscar for this too, by the way. A teacher at the school he works enrolls him there on the condition that he takes therapy. You get to see Will coming to terms with his past, anger issues, and relationships. It's going to put a knife through your heart, but mend it up so good too. What's more, Matt and Ben Affleck co-wrote this and bagged an Academy Award for the script. You can tell it's a story close to them and shows in Damon's acting. He understood the character so well because he wrote it, which is also why it's one of the best dramatic performances. You have not lived until you watch Good Will Hunting, and that's saying something because all the other movies he's been in are spectacular too. But my friends, that's all for this video. Which Matt Damon performance is the best to you? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content just like this one, and thank you very much for coming by the channel today. Let us know what you'd like to talk about in the next video, and with that being said, we'll see you next time.